She's the leader of the Tea Party caucus in the House of Representatives, Congresswoman Michele Bachmann. Thanks for joining us this morning. So, Congresswoman, you've been to Iowa several times. You're heading to South Carolina this weekend, another early contest. You're going to New Hampshire next month. I know you haven't made any decisions yet, but why are you interested in the presidency?
Well, I'm interested primarily in making sure that for the next year we're talking about the issues that the country is facing. And so I want to make sure in the midst of looking at all the individual candidates, which must be done, that we continue to focus on the issues of overspending, debt, national security. So that's really what I'm doing. I'm trying to set the table, if you will, because these voters are vital in these early states. They're going to make a very important decision about our nominee. And so my focus is really to keep the voters focused on the issues.
Those issues are being raised by all the potential candidates, Mitt Romney, Newt Gingrich, Tim Pawlenty. So what do you bring to this potential race that the others don't?
Well, I think what I bring is the perspective of being here in the front lines of Washington, D.C., where all of the decisions have been made over the past 4 years that have radically changed our country. And for many Americans, they believe that we're not going down the right track right now. So I want to take that information out into these different early primary states and to listen to people. I've been privileged to be a part of the Tea Party movement. This has been the verve and the vibrancy that we've seen of people getting engaged again. I want to take that perspective out to listen to people when I'm going out to the early primary states.
What's the tripwire for you to get into this race? If Sarah Palin decides not to run, are you in?
You know, I'm not there yet. I haven't made a decision about whether or not I'm going to engage, and so we'll see. I really want to just talk to the people that are in these early primary states and listen to them.
Let me ask you a question about foreign policy. We've seen this revolution now sweeping across Egypt and the Middle East. There's protests in Bahrain this morning. If you were president right now, how would your approach differ from President Obama's?
Well, I think there are some principles that I would focus on. Number one, my first question would be, what are the vital American interests in the region? Number two, what would best be done to secure the safety of the American people? I think third, my interest would be, what is the long-term view of the Middle East? We're looking at a historic shift in instability in the Middle East region that isn't just one nation, but this is impacting a multiplicity of nations. So I think we need to have a long-term perspective. And I think beyond that, this really underscores the need for high-quality level of intelligence. I'm privileged to sit on the Permanent Select Committee for Intelligence. We're secured with dealing with the nation's top classified secrets. That's why I'm prohibited from going any farther and commenting on specifics in the matter. But those are some of the principles that I would be looking at in the Middle East region.
What is America's number one vital interest in the Middle East?
Well, there are multiple issues that we have and multiple interests in the Middle East, but our safety and security of people in the United States is always number one.
And let me move on now to this controversy, this debate you've had with the First Lady, Michelle Obama, over breastfeeding. You said her encouraging of young African-American mothers to breastfeed to avoid obesity in children is another example of a nanny state. What's your objection to that?
Well, I'm a federal tax litigation attorney. That is my legal background and also my scholarly background. And my quarrel isn't necessarily with the whole topic. I've given birth to 5 children myself. I strongly believe in breastfeeding. But I think what this points up again is that the tax code is used by government as social engineering. I spent years in the United States federal tax court seeing the difficult burden of the tax code in people's lives. And I think the federal government should stop social engineering. I would really prefer to see us completely scrap the tax code and find something that is simpler, fairer, flatter. People are in the process now of the hassle of filling out their income tax returns, and it is a very unwieldy document. Most Americans have to go to a professional preparer just to fill out their tax return. So yeah. My quarrel is with the tax code and the great complexity that the tax code is for the average American.
You know, a sizable number of GOP primary voters still are questioning President Obama's faith and citizenship. Can you just state very clearly that President Obama is a Christian and he is a citizen of the United States?
Well, that isn't for me to state. That's for the president to state. And I think that
when the
president makes when the president makes his statements, I think they need to stand for their own.
But he has said it very clearly. I'm just asking if you believe it.
Well, I think we should take the president at his word.
But you can't say that. You can't just sit there and declare the president is a citizen and he is a Christian.
You know, what I focus on today, George, is today is the 2-year anniversary of the stimulus program where we spent $1 trillion to make sure that unemployment wouldn't go above 8%. That's what I'm worried about, because the people in the 6th District of Minnesota are very concerned about job creation, and that's a lot more important than dealing with those other issues.
Final quick question. I'm just curious. We have a big day here, Lady Gaga here in the studio. Are you a fan?
You know, I don't really know that much about Lady Gaga. I hate to say it. I have a lot of children, but I don't know that much about Lady Gaga.
Okay, Congresswoman, thanks very much for coming in this morning.
Thank you.